Living solo. 5 unexpected ways long-term singlehood shapes you after 60. Have you ever stopped to think about how years of living solo, whether by choice or circumstance, might be subtly reshaping you? It's not always obvious, but going without a romantic partner for an extended period impacts us in ways we often don't realize. Some of these changes are empowering, fostering resilience, and self-reliance. Others, however, can inadvertently create barriers to connection, even when the perfect opportunity for a new relationship arises. In this video, we'll delve into 5 key ways long-term singlehood can transform you mentally, emotionally, and socially, exploring everything from your relationship with independence to how you perceive and approach romantic connections. These shifts often happen gradually, under the radar, but once you understand them, you can harness the positive aspects and address any that might be hindering your ability to forge deeper bonds. Stick with me until the end, because some of these insights might surprise you. More importantly, we'll discuss practical strategies for embracing the upsides of singlehood while overcoming potential obstacles to forming those meaningful connections, whether you're perfectly content flying solo or considering opening yourself up to love again. Now, let's dive in. Number 1. You master the art of self-sufficiency. Years of singlehood naturally breed self-reliance. You become accustomed to making decisions independently, structuring your life precisely as you see fit, and navigating challenges without leaning on a partner for emotional or practical support. This independence becomes deeply ingrained, shaping not just your daily routines, but also your fundamental sense of self. You learn to rely on your own judgment, trust your instincts, and handle life's curveballs with a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you've got this. This self-sufficiency is, in many ways, a tremendous strength. It cultivates resilience, allowing you to bounce back from setbacks without needing someone else to pick up the pieces. It fosters a deep sense of self-worth, knowing that your happiness doesn't hinge on the presence of a partner. And it empowers you to pursue your passions and goals with unwavering focus, unburdened by the compromises or considerations that often come with relationships. You become the architect of your own life, designing it precisely to your liking. You curate your experiences, choose your own adventures, and build a world that reflects your unique values and desires. This is a powerful and liberating experience, one that often leads to profound personal growth. However, there's a potential downside, one that can subtly complicate relationships when they do appear on the horizon. When you're so used to orchestrating every aspect of your life, incorporating another person can feel like a significant adjustment, even an intrusion. You've established your routines, your habits, your preferred ways of doing things, down to the smallest details. Your evenings are sacred, your weekends meticulously planned, your living space a carefully curated reflection of your personal taste. There's a comfortable predictability to your days, a sense of control that can be hard to relinquish. Suddenly having to consider someone else's schedule, preferences, and needs can feel disruptive, like a ripple in the calm waters of your well-ordered existence. You might find yourself resisting compromise, clinging to your established routines, or feeling a subtle sense of resentment at having to share your space, your time, and your decision-making power. Over time, this can foster a mindset where relationships feel more like an obligation than a welcome partnership. It's not that you don't want a connection. It's that you've become so accustomed to your own rhythm that the thought of synchronizing with someone else feels overwhelming, almost daunting. This isn't to say independence is a negative trait. On the contrary, it's incredibly attractive. There's a magnetic appeal to someone who knows who they are, what they want, and isn't afraid to go after it. But there's a crucial distinction between healthy independence and being so rigidly set in your ways that you struggle to make space for another person. Relationships require flexibility, a willingness to adapt, to compromise, to occasionally put someone else's needs on par with your own. It's about finding that sweet spot where you maintain your autonomy while creating space for someone else to enrich your life. And when you strike that balance, you don't lose yourself in a relationship. You grow alongside it, evolving into an even stronger, more well-rounded individual. The key is to recognize that independence doesn't have to be a barrier to connection. It simply means you have the power to choose what's best for you, and that includes choosing to open your heart to the possibility of love, even if it means stepping outside your comfort zone and embracing the beautiful messiness of shared experiences. Number 2. Emotional vulnerability becomes less familiar. The longer you go without a romantic relationship, the more challenging it can become to open up emotionally. Years of solo living often mean you've become adept at handling things on your own. Your thoughts, your emotions, your challenges. You become your own confidant, your own support system, your own rock. You learn to process difficult emotions independently, to celebrate victory solo, and to navigate life's ups and downs without relying on a partner for emotional validation or support. There's a certain strength that comes from this self-reliance, a quiet confidence in your ability to weather any storm. You become comfortable in your own skin, content with your own company, and fiercely independent in your emotional landscape. This independence, while empowering, can inadvertently create a subtle barrier to intimacy when the opportunity for a new relationship arises. Think about it. Emotional vulnerability is a muscle. Like any muscle, it requires regular exercise to remain strong and flexible. In a relationship, you naturally work this muscle by expressing your feelings, sharing your worries, and leaning on your partner for support. But when you've been on your own for an extended period, that muscle can atrophy. You might find it uncomfortable to reveal your softer, more vulnerable side, the parts of yourself that you've carefully tucked away for safekeeping. You might hesitate to admit when you need help, struggle to express simple sentiments like, "I miss you" or "I need you," or even convince yourself that you don't need that kind of connection at all. You might become so accustomed to processing emotions internally that the idea of sharing them with someone else feels foreign, almost unnatural. This isn't about becoming emotionally dependent. It's about recognizing that true intimacy requires a willingness to be seen, truly seen, by another person. It's about allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to let someone into the inner sanctum of your heart, even if it feels a little scary. This hesitation to open up emotionally can impede the development of new relationships, even when you meet someone who could be a wonderful match. Imagine two people, both single for decades, both interested in exploring a potential connection. One is open and willing to share their thoughts and feelings, even if it feels a little awkward at first. The other has become so used to keeping everything bottled up that they struggle to express even the simplest emotions. Which one do you think is more likely to forge a deeper, more meaningful bond? It's important to remember that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's courage. It's the courage to show up authentically, to risk rejection, and to trust another person with your heart. And the more you practice vulnerability, the easier it becomes. It's like learning a new language. At first, it might feel clumsy and uncomfortable, but with practice, it becomes more natural, more fluid, more expressive. And just like learning a new language opens up a whole new world of communication and connection, learning to embrace emotional vulnerability opens up a world of deeper, more fulfilling relationships. So if you've been single for a while and find yourself struggling to connect with others on an emotional level, take a moment to reflect on your own emotional landscape. Have you unconsciously built walls around your heart? Have you become so accustomed to emotional independence that you've forgotten the power of shared vulnerability? If so, remember that it's never too late to start exercising that muscle again. Start small. Share a small worry with a trusted friend. Express a simple sentiment of appreciation to a loved one. Gradually, as you become more comfortable with expressing your emotions, you'll find that the walls begin to crumble, and the path to deeper connection becomes clearer. Because ultimately, the greatest connections are built not on perfection, but on authenticity, vulnerability, and the courage to let someone truly see you, flaws and all. Number 3, your personal rhythms. Solidify. Living solo for an extended period naturally leads to the development of deeply ingrained personal rhythms. You create a life that revolves around your specific preferences, routines, and habits. Everything from your morning coffee ritual to your preferred bedtime routine becomes a well-established part of your daily life. There's a certain comfort and predictability in these rhythms. They provide a sense of stability and control in a world that can often feel chaotic. You know what to expect from your day, and you've structured it in a way that maximizes your personal well-being and sense of contentment. This structured lifestyle, while beneficial in many ways, can present unforeseen challenges when it comes to integrating a new partner into your world. After years of living independently, you're accustomed to having complete autonomy over your time and space. You eat when you want, sleep when you want, decorate your home according to your tastes, and generally live life on your own terms. This independence is a valuable asset, fostering self-reliance and a strong sense of self. However, it can also lead to a certain inflexibility, making it difficult to adapt when a relationship opportunity arises. Relationships, by their very nature, involve compromise and a willingness to accommodate another person's needs and preferences. It requires a shift in perspective, from me to we. This can be a significant adjustment for someone who's grown accustomed to the unfettered freedom of singlehood. Imagine, for instance, your Sunday morning routine. Perhaps you enjoy a leisurely breakfast, followed by a few hours of reading or gardening. Now imagine someone else enters the picture. Suddenly, your quiet Sunday morning might involve accommodating their preferences, whether it's joining them for a run, trying a new breakfast spot, or engaging in activities you wouldn't typically choose on your own. This isn't to say that your routines are inherently bad or that you should abandon them altogether. In fact, maintaining a sense of self and preserving your personal interests are crucial for a healthy relationship. The key lies in finding a balance between honoring your established rhythms and being open to incorporating another person into your life. It's about recognizing that compromise isn't a sacrifice of your independence, but rather an opportunity to expand your world and experience new things. Think of it as a dance. You each have your own unique steps, your own individual style. But when you come together, you create a new rhythm, a shared dance that blends your individual movements into something beautiful and harmonious. Of course, this requires flexibility and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone. It might feel awkward or unsettling at first, like learning a new dance step. But with practice and open communication, you can find a rhythm that works for both of you, a rhythm that honors both your individuality and your shared connection. This adaptability is essential for building a lasting and fulfilling relationship. It allows you to create a shared life that respects both partners' needs and preferences, fostering a sense of togetherness while preserving individual autonomy. So, if you've been living solo for a while and find yourself hesitant to change your routines, Remember that flexibility is a strength, not a weakness. It's the ability to adapt, to grow, and to embrace the beautiful messiness of shared experiences. And when you embrace that flexibility, you open yourself up to the possibility of a deeper, more meaningful connection, one that enriches your life in ways you never thought possible. Number 4. Your standards might become elevated. Living solo for an extended period often leads to a refinement of your personal standards, particularly when it comes to romantic relationships. This isn't necessarily about becoming picky or demanding. It's about gaining a deeper understanding of your own needs, values, and what you truly desire in a partner. Years of living independently provide ample opportunity for self-reflection. You have the time and space to analyze past relationships, identify patterns, and pinpoint the qualities that contribute to a healthy, fulfilling partnership. You learn from both the successes and the failures, gradually developing a clearer picture of what you're looking for and, perhaps more importantly, what you're not willing to tolerate. This process of self-discovery often results in a heightened sense of self-worth. You recognize your own value, and you're no longer willing to settle for less than you deserve. This newfound clarity can be incredibly empowering, allowing you to approach potential relationships with a greater sense of confidence and discernment. However, this heightened awareness of your needs and desires can sometimes manifest as a raising of the bar, so to speak. While having high standards is generally a positive attribute, demonstrating self-respect and a commitment to healthy relationships, there's a fine line between knowing your worth and setting unrealistic expectations. The longer you're single, the more entrenched you become in your own routines, preferences, and lifestyle. You create a world that perfectly suits your individual needs, and the thought of integrating another person into that carefully curated existence can feel daunting. This can lead to an unconscious tendency to scrutinize potential partners more critically, focusing on their flaws or perceived shortcomings rather than their positive qualities. You might find yourself dismissing someone over minor imperfections, comparing them to an idealized image of the perfect partner, or expecting a level of compatibility that's rarely found in real life. This isn't about consciously rejecting potential partners. It's about a subtle shift in perspective. When you're accustomed to the comfort and predictability of singlehood, the inherent messiness of relationships can feel overwhelming. You might unconsciously seek out partners who seamlessly fit into your existing life, rather than embracing the challenges and compromises that come with building a connection with another unique individual. This tendency to idealize relationships can also contribute to elevated standards. Years of observing romantic relationships in media, or perhaps witnessing the seemingly effortless partnerships of friends and family, can create unrealistic expectations about what love should look like. You might anticipate instant chemistry, effortless communication, and a complete absence of conflict, overlooking the reality that even the strongest relationships require ongoing effort, compromise, and a willingness to navigate disagreements. This isn't to say that you should lower your standards or settle for less than you deserve. Knowing your worth and recognizing your needs is essential for a healthy relationship. The key lies in finding a balance between maintaining healthy standards and remaining open to the possibility of connection. It's about recognizing that no one is perfect, including yourself, and that true compatibility often stems from a willingness to embrace imperfections, navigate differences, and grow together. Ask yourself, are my expectations grounded in reality, or am I holding on to an idealized vision of love that prevents me from seeing the potential in real people? Am I focusing on superficial qualities or genuine compatibility? Am I willing to invest the time and effort required to build a meaningful connection, even if it means stepping outside my comfort zone? Honest reflection on these questions can help you discern whether your standards are serving you well or inadvertently hindering your ability to find lasting love. Remember, relationships are about finding someone whose strengths complement your own, whose imperfections you can accept, and whose presence enhances your life in meaningful ways. And that person might not always fit neatly into the preconceived box of your ideal partner. Sometimes, the most fulfilling connections arise when we least expect them, when we allow ourselves to be surprised by someone who challenges our assumptions and opens our hearts to a love that's real, not idealized. Number 5. The pressure to partner up diminishes. As the years of solo living accumulate, you might find a surprising shift in your perspective on relationships. That once intense pressure to find a partner, to settle down, to conform to societal expectations of coupledom, begins to dissipate. It's not that the desire for connection vanishes entirely, but the urgency fades, replaced by a quiet understanding that your happiness isn't contingent upon having a romantic partner. You've learned to cultivate joy and fulfillment in other areas of your life through meaningful friendships, engaging hobbies, fulfilling work, and the simple pleasures of solitude. You've built a life you love, a life that feels complete and satisfying, even without a romantic partner by your side. This newfound contentment is a testament to your resilience, your self-reliance, and your ability to create a meaningful existence on your own terms. You've discovered the richness of your own company, the joy of pursuing your passions without compromise, and the empowering realization that you are enough, just as you are. This self-acceptance is a powerful and liberating experience, freeing you from the constraints of societal expectations and allowing you to define happiness on your own terms. However, this shift in perspective can also have unintended consequences. While embracing singlehood is a sign of personal growth, it can sometimes lead to a subtle indifference towards relationships altogether. The very idea of incorporating another person into your well-established routine can feel daunting, even unnecessary. You might question the value of disrupting your comfortable equilibrium, of venturing back into the often challenging world of dating, when you've already created a life that feels complete and fulfilling. This hesitation isn't necessarily about rejecting the idea of love. It's often rooted in a fear of change, a reluctance to disrupt the comfortable predictability of your current life. You might unconsciously convince yourself that relationships are more trouble than they're worth, not because you genuinely believe it, but because the prospect of adapting to a new dynamic, of compromising your hard-won independence, feels overwhelming. This is where the crucial distinction lies, between genuine contentment in solitude and passive avoidance of connection. There's a world of difference between choosing to be single because it aligns with your values and desires, and remaining single because it feels safer, easier, less disruptive than venturing into the unknown territory of a new relationship. If you genuinely thrive in solitude and feel no yearning for romantic companionship, then embracing singlehood is a perfectly valid and fulfilling choice. But if, deep down, you still harbor a desire for connection, for the intimacy and shared experiences that a romantic relationship can offer, then it's worth examining whether you've inadvertently built walls around your heart, whether you've allowed the comfort of solitude to morph into a barrier against potential love. Imagine two individuals, both seasoned veterans of the single life. One has embraced their independence but remains open to the possibility of love, attending social events, engaging in new activities, and generally keeping their heart open to connection. The other equally content in their solitude, has retreated from the world of dating, declining invitations, avoiding social gatherings, and essentially closing themselves off to the possibility of romantic involvement. While both individuals might appear equally happy on the surface, which one do you think is more likely to experience the joy of companionship should the opportunity arise? The key takeaway here is this: contentment in solitude is a strength, a testament to your self-reliance and ability to create a fulfilling life. But allowing that contentment to morph into isolation, into a passive avoidance of connection, can mean missing out on the rich and rewarding experiences that a loving partnership can bring. It's about recognizing the difference between genuine self-sufficiency and an unconscious fear of vulnerability, of change, of the beautiful messiness that comes with opening your heart to another person. So, if you've been single for a long time and find yourself questioning the value of pursuing a relationship, take a moment for honest self-reflection. Ask yourself, am I truly happy this way, or have I simply become comfortable with the familiar, even if it means sacrificing the potential for deeper connection? Because ultimately, relationships aren't about filling a void in your life. They're about enhancing the life you've already built, adding another layer of richness, joy, and shared experience. And if you keep your heart open, even just a crack, you never know what incredible connections might still lie ahead. As we wrap up, take a moment to reflect on these 5 changes. Do any of them resonate with you? If you've been single for a while, you've likely experienced at least some of these shifts. And while many of them are positive, fostering resilience, wisdom, and self-reliance, it's important to recognize when they might be subtly holding you back. Being single isn't a flaw, and it's not something that needs fixing. In fact, some of the happiest people are those who have learned to truly enjoy their own company. But if deep down you still desire companionship, it's worth asking yourself some honest questions. Have I unconsciously built walls that keep people out? Have I become so set in my ways that I no longer make space for someone else? Have I allowed past experiences or unrealistic expectations to prevent me from giving new connections a real chance? The good news is, it's never too late to make small changes that open the door to love and connection. Whether it's cultivating flexibility, practicing emotional vulnerability, or simply being willing to step outside your comfort zone, every effort you make brings you closer to the kind of relationship you desire, if you desire one at all. And the best part is, none of these changes require you to lose yourself. The right relationship will never diminish your independence. It will simply add to the fulfilling life you've already created. So if you've been single for years and wondering why love hasn't found you yet, remember this: it's not about whether or not you're still relationship material. It's about whether you're still open to the possibility of connection, growth, and companionship. And when you are, love has a way of finding you, even when you least expect it. Thank you for joining me today. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below sharing one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to me, so don't hesitate to share. Reading your comments gives me tremendous motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you don't miss out on the latest tips for life after 60 all for free. Your support helps me continue creating content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.